You told me you could have worked for hours, days on this because there's so much to it for you to look into that it could have taken a lot longer.
I could have spent weeks on this one if I needed to because there's so many aspects and twists and turns, and some things we'll touch on in the video.
All right, well, I can't wait to see what you got.
It's very hard to see, even with the infrared. I can only make out some of the shadows and shapes of what look to be carvings or perhaps paintings on the chamber walls, some artifacts left in memoriam as well.
You're listening to the Junior Birdman Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Junior Birdman Podcast. I am your host, the Junior Birdman. Today we continue with Conspiracy Week, and we're going to be joined shortly by our producer, Callie, who's going to give us some insight into conspiracies surrounding the Great Pyramid of Giza. And then after that, we're going to be joined by our friend George, who's live at the scene of an excavation site where he's going to give us an update and a tour of what he's doing out there. It's going to be a fun show. Let's get things going right away with our producer, Callie. Callie's become one of the most popular members of the crew in the show here. Callie, welcome back to the Junior Birdman Podcast.
Hello again, everybody. Great to be back.
Always fun to have you. Now, you told me you could have worked for hours, days on this because there's so much to it for you to look into that it could have taken a lot longer.
I could have spent weeks on this one if I needed to because there's so many aspects and twists and turns, and some things we'll touch on in the video.
All right, well, I can't wait to see what you got for us.
Okay, here we go. So the first thing to note is this alignment of the pyramids. Overall, they align with this mysterious circle of other ancient sites around the world when viewed from space. There's also some alignment with possible astrological constellations. The thing about all these is really scale, though. If you draw a circle in the right way, they all align. If you ignore the reality of the millions, if not trillions of miles that are actually between these stars that cannot be measured accurately versus the measurements we can accurately calculate here on Earth, then the correlation is much easier and you can see how far off it could actually be. The Giza Pyramid, or the Great Pyramid as it's called, has several hidden chambers that have been discovered throughout the years that do not align with where a burial chamber for a high-ranking person or leader or pharaoh would be, and do not look like burial chambers or have any connection seemingly to anything ceremonial. But they do seem to serve some kind of purpose we just don't fully understand. Some believe the Great Pyramid is actually just a big, huge power plant engineered by a civilization that did not otherwise show any signs of that kind of advancement. It could be said the same is true for us today with the silicon chip and that similar technology which came from the transistor, which was really just a miracle discovery of the capabilities of silicon, which is something in retrospect that Shockley and his team either discovered through pure luck or witchcraft, or maybe he had some help with an outside source just like the ancient Egyptians did.
Yep, and that's what launched the space race and beat the Russians and everything else.
That's true, and the U.S. government did devote a lot of money and resources to make sure we beat the Russians into space, and there's a parallel there between the pyramids and the AI technology of today as well, at least in theory. If aliens did come down and show the Egyptians how to build a power station, it stands to reason that that's why the Egyptians devoted so much time to making it. So much power and energy and resources to building it, and it could be that that's what led to their downfall. And that sort of parallels the efforts we put into building on the transistor into the 50s, into the space age like you talked about, and into the information age. And who knows where it ultimately leads us, and many people believe that us devoting so much of our resources and efforts into AI could well lead to the downfall of our modern civilization, in the same way perhaps ancient civilizations who fell prey to technology they didn't quite understand ended up collapsing their societies.
Well, I got to tell you, Callie, you never failed to impress. This was another great presentation. We appreciate your time and efforts on this once again.
Well, thank you. Great to be here. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Another great segment. Before we move on, I want to remind you all again that the contest continues to vote for your favorite model in America's top AI model competition. 32 women competing for the top spot. If you want to vote for a model, just like the video. If you want to give them 2 votes, comment on the video as well. We're going to start the elimination rounds in May. The ladies have asked us to push it back a little bit, so we may actually push it back to later in May or maybe even June for the elimination rounds. But you still have time to get your votes in. 32 models. Go check them all out. You can vote for as many as you like. You don't have to just vote for one. They're all hoping you'll vote for them. The competition continues now. America's Top AI Model. Go check them out now. There's a video link above here. And we hope you'll enjoy that competition as well. All right, we're going to go to George. Is George ready? Were we able to reach him? George, are you able to hear us now? Can you hear us, George?
Can you hear me, Birdman?
Are you there? Hey, George. Yeah, we can hear you fine. Can you hear us okay?
Okay, yeah, great. I can hear you fine. Right now I'm in a blacked out van. We're traveling on our way to the secret entrance behind the Great Pyramid at Giza. It's very dark outside. I can't see outside right now, but my guides had promised me safe passage to the entrance, and from there we'll have to try and sneak past security to get inside the tomb. It's very heavily guarded, I'm told. We had to pay these guides a lot of money to be able to get this information and get access to this area, so we're hoping we get some great results by the end of the night.
Well, George, I had no idea. I hope you're going to be careful. I had no idea you were doing something this dangerous.
We're trying to stay safe. We have to keep the lights off and keep things a little quiet right now. We're almost there. We're very close. If you just hang on for a few minutes, we'll have to shut things down to be able to sneak in, but we're very close now. So just hang on for a few minutes. Okay, we're pulling up now. We're shutting down the van, and we're going to be sneaking inside. So just hang on for minutes. We're going to go silent for a few minutes until we get past security.
Be careful, George. Jeez. They're running. I guess they're running now.
Okay, we're hiding behind some delivery trucks right now. There's some other vehicles here. We're hiding to avoid detection. We're waiting for the guards to pass by again so we can make our move. The entrance we need to get to is about 150 feet away, so I'll have to make a run for it once we get the chance. Okay, here we go. Here we go, Alfie. Okay, I think we made it. I think we're clear. I didn't hear anything. We're going to be making our way through the tunnels now.
Okay.
I'm going to turn on the infrared camera here so you can see from the studio what we can see through the infrared. We're going to be making our way through the burial chamber. The caverns here are very, very tight, very narrow, but you get some idea of what we're dealing with. It's very dark here right now, though.
Dark, yeah, very dark, very dark.
Okay, we're making our way through the tunnel now. I can't hear you anymore, Birdman. I hope you're still hearing me. We seem to have lost the two-way communication. I'm recording this, but I hope you're able to still hear us as we're trying to broadcast out to you. We're approaching what looks to be another opening, an area ahead, which looks to open into another area. Passageway is very narrow. As I mentioned, the walls are very rough. The air's very thick down here. We're approaching this narrow area here with a little jump down, and then there's another little path past that. This next path looks to be a little bit more narrow. We're going to jump down here to get through there.
God, George, be careful.
I'm told that the original ventilation shaft for one of the larger burial chambers in the pyramid is tied to this tunnel, or was it once? And in later years, this tunnel was widened to bury another newer pharaoh or leader, and that's what we're in now, this larger tunnel, and on our way to see that newer ceremonial burial chamber, untouched by archaeologists, I'm told, as well to date. We're approaching another little jump to a narrow opening and another narrower part of the passageway. The air itself seems to be even thicker. There's no wind, of course, no ventilation at all. It's very hot, even though it's very late at night. It's very hard to breathe. You have to be very careful down here. I do not see
And he still can't
markings
hear
on
us,
the
right?
walls,
He can't?
something I perhaps expected to see along the way, but perhaps it is because we're dealing with a tomb that was to remain hidden and the builders did not want anybody to disturb it, so perhaps that's why we don't see any markings. Okay, we're approaching the end of the passageway now, and my guides are going to have to uncover the buried portion of the tomb entrance so we can get it inside. So right now we're just waiting outside to get inside. It's a very cramped, narrow area we're waiting in now. I think once we do
Pretty
get
worried about
inside,
him.
we should find some
he's
very
okay in there.
exciting
Goodness.
artifacts, something that will definitely tell us about the time period of the pharaoh that's buried inside and when he lived and died. It's always exciting to be part
see
of
this in
something
real
new
time,
and
though.
undiscovered, to be
You
the
could hear
first
us.
one to report on something historic for the first time. I think we're very close to a moment like that right now. Okay, we've pierced the outside chamber now, and I can tell because of a terrible smell that came out from the inside, so I know we're on the right track now. Okay, we're going to be squeezing through this very small opening to get inside now. Okay, we managed to get inside. It's very cramped. There's very little room to move. The guides are trying to get some torches set up so we can better explore the chamber without disturbing anything. It's very hard to see, even with the infrared. I can only make out some of the shadows and shapes of what look to be carvings or perhaps paintings on the chamber walls. Some artifacts left in memoriam as well. It looks like we're going to get some lights on here in just a second. Slightly pinned behind what looks to be some kind of altar appears, and I was able to find what looks to be some kind of artifact, it appears. I'm going to try and hold up in front of the camera for you to see. It appears to be made of some kind of copper or an alloy, maybe made of silver. It's hard to tell. I can't see very well. It looks very blurry to me, but I can see some markings. It looks very similar to our own language, which is very interesting how similar these ancient symbols do look to our own modern language. I'm not an Egyptologist, so I can't make out the writing. It almost looks like English, though. It looks like it says made in China. Okay, the lights are coming on now. Wait a minute, what is this place? Where'd you bring me? A funeral home? You brought me to the embalming room of a funeral home? This isn't an Egyptian pyramid chamber. No, burial chamber, not funeral home. Pyramids, Bahi, not Bati. Oh, God. Okay, apparently something got lost in translation. My guides thought I wanted to get inside a post-death home, as they call it, which is the same as a funeral home. They had no idea that I wanted to get inside the pyramid. Doesn't look like this was the discovery I expected, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and end the video now. Bahi! God, gotta go ahead and end the video now. This is the last time I take a trip to Egypt on a Groupon. Baki! I really need to brush up.
I'm glad he's okay, at least.
Thank you for listening to the Junior Birdman podcast. Be sure to like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell to be alerted when new videos are posted.